Alright, last time we talked about the Dragon Ball Evolution haters. This is my second video narration intro to a much larger webcam review. The last time we talked about Dragon Ball Evolution. This time we're talking about a movie I despise and a lot of people like, and that of course is, we're talking about a series of movies, and that of course is the Amazing Spider-Man movies 1 and 2 and the Sony Spider-Man universe films. Venom films, yeah, pretty much the Sony Spider-Man, separate from the MCU, the much superior MCU and the much superior previous trilogy, the Sam Raimi trilogy. My favorites. When it comes to the Amazing Spider-Mans 1 and 2, these two right here are two of the worst comic books movies of all time, and I quote unquote despise this movie. Of course, I mentioned Dragon Ball Evolution. How does this relate to Dragon Ball Evolution? Well, Dragon Ball Evolution, that same guy who would definitely get an individual video response in the future. That same guy had the audacity to say I couldn't defend my Dragon Ball Evolution. So, as I admit to multiple videos, I helped tank the Amazing Spider-Mans 1 and 2, not only because they were bad movies, but because they were bad movies and corporate cash-ins on a popular franchise. But I also helped tank the Amazing Spider-Man films, and to not only bring them back home to the MCU where they belong, to get them canceled and bring Spider-Man back home to the MCU where he belongs, but to also get even and get revenge for Dragon Ball Evolution and Green Lantern for people not supporting those for several years ago. Yeah, this is also retaliation for people talking trash about the MCU and the blockbuster films, The Avengers 2012, and now the Raimi trilogy. My issue with the other three, which were successful, unlike DBE and Green Lantern, was that the other three films I just mentioned, the other three films I just mentioned, these films were successful. These films earned their place, and you had people jealous of these movies, talking crap about them, trying to discredit them. If you don't like them, that's okay. That's your issue. But when you try to go out of your way to discredit them, especially not only discredit them, in order to make the Amazing Spider-Mans 1 and 2, which sucked, which deserved the fail, which didn't respect fans or movie goers, that's where I have a problem. That's where I quote unquote have a problem. It was bad enough people were protesting and wouldn't support Evolution and Green Lantern, but they were later protesting. They were later talking trash and trying to discredit awesome, superior stuff when it came to the MCU, and especially Avengers 2012. It was the start of a new era. We had arrived. We finally had arrived. You had people trying to talk down this awesome period and this awesome era. Yeah, the MCU has problems, but still, they are still one of the best around. They've earned everything they've had. So that was my issue. That was my issue with the MCU haters. That was my issue with the MCU. That was my issue. That was one of my reasons for protesting the Amazing Spider-Man films. But all that aside, the films on their own are atrocious. And now that Spider-Man No Way Home is out, because Spider-Man No Way Home did what Sony couldn't do. Spider-Man No Way Home goes to show you how awesome Marvel is. They managed to make the worst Spider-Man, the worst comic book movies of all time, and Andrew Garfield, the Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, they managed to make those good. A couple of 30 minutes. All you needed was to give Andrew Garfield 20. You need to give Andrew Garfield and Electro 20 to 30 minutes plus, and each of them, and this whole film corrected all the mistakes the first two Amazing Spider-Man films made with these characters. They, for once, advanced these characters and brought their characters closer and closer to the comic book. Andrew Garfield still sucked in Spider-Man No Way Home. And now, because Andrew Garfield was so awesome in Spider-Man No Way Home, you got fans trying to first off give give Disney give Sony all the credit for that. You got Sony actually taking most of the credit for this film when they couldn't even make. Sony couldn't even get above 700 million, 14 million together, and later 8 million, with the Venom franchise. They couldn't make the billion. They couldn't make the million mark. They couldn't make the billion mark. They couldn't outgross Sam Raimi, and they damn sure couldn't outgross the MCU. In 2014, Captain America the Winter Soldier, a guy dressed as a flag, a Birdman, and a Ninja Soldier guy, beat The Amazing Spider-Man 2. His was worse. A team of D-list heroes, the Guardians of the Galaxy, beat The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Here I do one better. Transformers 4, Age of Extinction. Michael Bay, one of the most hated people in Hollywood. His movie, Transformers Age of Extinction, beat The Amazing Spider-Man Part 1 and 2. What's his name? Now you got Sony trying to take all the credit for No Way Home success, when MCU, they didn't need to do a multiverse storyline. They wanted to give the fans what they wanted. A lot of fans wanted Andrew Garfield back. I didn't want him back. I didn't want him back, but it was entertaining. I wanted Toby back, but I didn't want Andrew Garfield back. And now that he's back, people saying, "Oh, it's a good idea to do a third one now." Hell no. Just because this was good just because No Way Home was good doesn't make Amazing Spider-Man Part 1 and 2 good. Then you got people with the Venom universe. Now, I actually like the Venom movies on their own because they're symbiote movies. But both of these movies are trash. And I agree with every critic who hated and despised these movies, except I actually like them, only because they're Venom films. Similar with Dragon Ball Z Super Broly. I like that movie because it's a Broly-centered film. Broly's a featured character in that film. If Broly wasn't in that film, it wouldn't be good. But at least Super Broly was way better than these. These Venom films, they're even worse than The Amazing Spider-Man. They almost make them seem good in comparison. The only good Spider-Man movie, Sony, decent one they made, was Into the Spider-Verse, and I thought that sucked too. That had a lot of problems Venom and The Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2 have, but it's glossed over because number 1, that's a cartoon. Number 2 is Miles Morales, the Afro-American Spider-Man, so it's going to get much more that's going to get much more praise and be much more successful, even though that's the same level of crap as what's name. And more soul was at least put into that one. Quote-unquote franchise. That quote-unquote franchise. But I thought that was just as bad as what's his name. So my single long webcam version will be in the description box below. I have a bunch of, I'm only going to send you one, but I have a bunch of rants on the Amazing Spider-Man movies on both Super Vader and Dog 8798 channel. So yeah, and I ran on the fanboys. If you like the films, that's more power. If you like the films, that's more power to you. But if you try and talk trash or flame anyone who is smart enough not to like these films, or say some bullshit that we got to be fair with those films, or try to come up with some BS that they're underrated, they're underappreciated, that they didn't deserve all the hate they get, or come up with some revisionist history that they were bad then but are considered good now, I'm gonna bully, I'm gonna stalk, hound, and bully you with facts, man. Bully you with facts. These movies were garbage. They were atrocious corporate cash-ins that didn't respect the moviegoers and didn't respect the fanboys, didn't even respect moviegoers. They thought they were counting on the people who don't read the comics, who didn't know any better, to part with their money. But in this generation, people were much smarter. People were much smarter than in previous generations. Well, the full video, the link will be in the description box below. So get ready.